Hi everyone, welcome back. Today we'll be focusing on a short dynamic warm-up, which is ideal whether you're just getting up in the morning trying to warm yourself up for the day ahead, or just before you go out to do any exercise or training. Whatever you've got on today, this is a perfect place to start your day. So to begin with, we're going to come down to a seated position, crossing your legs however is most comfortable for yourself. Focus on keeping a nice straight back, up nice and tall, tucking the chin very slightly, softening or closing the eyes. We're going to concentrate on breathing to begin with. So taking one hand up to your chest, and your other one to your abdomen. So from here, we're going to focus on the full yogic breath. So to begin with, we're going to slow down the breathing, inhaling through the nose and exhaling through the nose. So we're going to repeat this a few times. On each inhale, see if you can inhale a little bit longer. Then on the exhale, see if you can really soften and empty out the torso. Breathing in and breathing out. Okay, so on your next inhale, what we want to focus on is first expanding the lower abdomen. And then once that's full, filling up the side body. And then lastly, getting whatever air is left that you've got room for into the top of the torso. And then once you're completely full, we're going to slowly exhale. First of all, feeling that deflation in the chest. Then the side body. And then lastly, the lower abdomen. Completely vacuuming out the body. And then reverse to inhale. First into the low abdomen. Feel your stomach expand, then into the side body, and then finally into the upper chest, and then reverse, first in the chest, then into the side, and then lastly into that lower abdomen. So you should be able to feel slight movements with the placements of your hand. So we're just focusing on really fulfilling the body, really oxygenating everything, really making sure we're taking full breaths that encompass the whole body. Very good, so just continue with that, just softening everything. Try to make sure you're still engaged in that posture, keeping the shoulders down and away from the ears. Try not to think about anything external, just focus purely on the breath. Let all your other thoughts just drift and drip away. Feel the expansion and then engage the contraction. Okay, from here, slowly flutter your eyes back open. And we're going to move over to tabletop pose. So coming onto all fours, nice and slowly in your own time, we're going to stack the shoulders, top of the elbows on top of the wrists. And the same with the knees, we're going to stack underneath the hips. So from here we're going to go into a cat stretch. So on an inhale, really pulling the lower abdomen down towards the ground, really getting a nice arch in that low back, lifting the chest up and forward. And then once you've got taken that full inhale, we're going to begin to exhale, rotating the hips in, really pushing out that abdomen into the back body, reversing the direction of the arch, maybe looking back behind us. And as we inhale, come back up. And then exhale back down. So feel free to follow the direction of your own breath or copy myself, whichever you feel most comfortable with. Everyone will have very slight differences in their lung capacities. So as long as you're just slowing it down, keep it nice and controlled. That's all we ask for. So inhaling, coming up, and then exhaling, pulling the abdomen into the back body. So hopefully, depending on what time of day you're doing this on, if you're feeling a bit stiff, a little bit cold, you're starting to feel a little bit of warmth in the torso, maybe a little bit of loosening around the back. Maybe you can feel your abdomen really engaging. Okay, and on your next inhale, come back up to tabletop pose. Going to go into balancing table. So here we try to maintain this posture as much as we can. So on an inhale, we're going to lift our left arm in unison with our right leg. We're going to lift them up away from us, really stretching as far away as we can from each other, whilst maintaining that tabletop position with our other limbs. And then as we exhale, we very slowly come down back into tabletop pose. Inhaling, taking it to the other side. Try not to rotate with the limbs. Try and keep the torso nice and straight. And then exhale, coming down. So either do this again in time with your own breath, just alternating sides, nice and controlled. See if you can really engage the abdomen here. Feel those abs and your core turn on. Try and keep that nice, long, straight back. And then when you get to the peak of the position, really stretch your toes and your fingers away from each other. Try and get as much length into the body as possible. Okay, let's do one more. And exhale, come back down into tabletop pose. Okay, very nice. Starting to engage a lot of the joints here. So we're going to move from here into tiger pose. So this is very similar, except we'll be going further out, followed by further in. So keep our hands pressed down where we are. Start by taking the right leg and we curve ourselves up, bringing the chest up and forward. So a bit like the cat stretch, except we're bringing one of our legs up as well. And then as we exhale, tuck that knee under and bring it up to your chest. Maybe seeing if you can get your nose to touch your knee. And then as we inhale, we take it back out. Try and get as much of an arch as you can. And then exhaling, really vacuuming out the torso to allow you to touch the knee. Then inhale, coming back out. take it nice and slow, nice and controlled. Inhaling back up. Exhaling back down. Don't worry if you feel a little bit of a wobble here. It means you're activating all those little balancing muscles. All the little motor muscles that support the larger whole. Okay, and then we'll come back down to tabletop pose. We'll swap to the other leg. So lifting up the left leg and exhaling through. So it's very similar to cat stretch, but we're just engaging a little bit more of the body. Hopefully you should be feeling a little bit of warmth starting to build now. Try and see if you can spread your weight evenly between both hands. And then exhale, come back down into tabletop. From here we're going to go into plank flow. So to begin with, we're going to tuck the toes under and come up into a plank pose, nice and tall. And then as we exhale, we move back into our first downward dog of the day. If you want to, feel free to pedal it out. And then as we inhale, making it a bit more dynamic, we come down into the plank pose again, staying nice and strong. And then exhale, back up into downward dog. Then we're just going to repeat that nice and slowly a few times. Coming down into plank pose, and then inhaling back up, exhaling back up into downward dog. Inhaling down and inhaling back up. Okay, from here, we're only going to do a couple. Don't need to overexert here. So dropping the knees down, we're going to come into child's pose. See if you can maybe try to get your bum to rest on your ankles. Really stretching your arms up in front of you. Take a moment here just to get your breath back under control if it's been starting to wane. And from here we're going to come into striking cobra. So again, a nice dynamic movement. We start by rising up, leaning forward, bringing our chest like a half plank to the ground, and then inhale up, keeping our hips on the ground, at least our hips or our knees on the ground, creating a nice but open back bend here. And then exhale, come back into child's pose. So we'll try that again. So it's very slowly inhaling, coming forward, almost as if you're going to a tabletop pose, and then bring your chest down to the floor, and then finally finish the inhale, coming up into a nice tall back bend, very similar to an upward dog, but you've got your knees placed on the ground. And then exhale, coming back into child's pose. We'll do that again. Inhaling, coming forward. Chest down. and then up, and then exhaling back into child's pose. Last one, inhaling, coming up, taking the chest down, and then lastly up into a nice back bend, and then exhaling back into child's pose. Okay, from here we're just going to raise ourselves back up into tabletop pose, tuck the feet under, come up into downward dog, exhale, take a step forward, coming in between the hands, take a nice big inhale, exhale, fold forward, then inhale, raising the arms up, and then coming down into mountain pose, arms by our side. So from here we're going to go into palm tree pose. So beginning in mountain pose, we're going to start by making sure we're up nice and tall, stacking everything on top of each other, tucking that chin very slightly, and bringing our shoulders away from our ears. So from here, we're going to take our hands on top of our head and interlink our fingers, keep it nice and tall, and then on an inhale, we're going to stretch forward while rotating our hands outwards, so the palms of our hands are facing the ceiling. Nice big inhale, and then exhale, bringing them back down. Inhaling very slowly, raising them up, and then exhaling back down. So we're just going to continue this in time with our own breath. You should be feeling a nice stretch, really opening the side bodies, opening the shoulders. Depending on how tight your biceps and forearms are, you might be feeling this a little bit more. Inhale one more time. Exhale down. Okay, and then from here we're going to take them up. We're going to go into the swaying palm tree pose. So on an exhale, keep our arms nice and long. We're going to stretch over to one side, being careful not to have one shoulder come over the other. Try and stay nice and side on. Inhaling, coming up, and then exhaling the other side. Inhaling, coming up. This is a nice pose, get a nice stretch into the side body, which can on average be quite tight, but with our everyday sedentary lifestyle we don't often take notice of this. But it is something that can build if it goes unnoticed and can cause issues elsewhere as they try to overcompensate. So it's very beneficial, especially if you do any sort of sport. Often requires cross-rotational movements. Inhaling up, and then lastly to the other side. Inhale and come up. You can bring our arms down to our side, back into mountain pose. Maybe give the arms a little bit of a shake here. So from here we're going to go into standing yoga seal. So this is going to begin in a little bit of a half squat. So I'll go side on, and then we're going to bring our hands across our back to really open out those shoulders. So to begin with, take your hands hip width apart, so your feet hip width apart, so you've got nice firm grounding. Lifting the arms overhead, we're going to sit back into those heels, creating a nice little squat. Take a nice big inhale, and then as we exhale, bring our hands round, intertwine them behind us, push the hands away from you, exhale and fold forward, and then inhale, rise back up, into a little half squat with our hands above our head. And then exhale, hands behind us, leaning forward into a forward fold. Inhaling, coming up. Exhaling, coming back. Inhaling, coming up. We'll do just one more. So everything you've got here nice and strong. Big inhale. And then as we exhale, bringing the hands back and folding, and then folding forward. Maybe looking at the wall behind us. Then inhaling, nice and slowly, coming back up to a half squat. Then exhaling, taking our hands behind us, folding forward. Inhaling, coming back up into a half squat, and we'll make this one the last one. Take a nice big inhale, and then exhale, taking our hands behind us, pushing out, then leaning forward. And then rising up to half squat again, arms above our head, and then push up back into mountain pose. Very nice. So let's just make sure we're standing up nice and tall. Have a check in, make sure the breathing isn't too sporadic here. And from here, we're just going to come straight down to sitting on the floor, leaning coming down into Shavasana. Take the feet out long and then let feet just hang to the side. Arms at our sides with our palms facing towards the ceiling. Soften or close the eyes. And just continuous breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. See if you can just let everything just sink into the floor, not holding any tightnesses. Maybe have a quick scan of the body just to check in with yourself. And just continue to relax, continue to sink. Okay, then from here, take your time, just roll onto one side and then very slowly come back up to a seated position, wherever you feel comfortable again. Just sit up nice and tall, continue to have the eyes closed or softened. See if you can sit up nice and tall, stacking everything on top of each other, maybe tucking the chin a bit slightly. Keeping the shoulders back. Look towards the ground and then flutter the eyelids open. Lifting the head back up. And that's the end of the session. Thank you everyone. Namaste. I hope you can feel the body now being quite warm. warmed up, ready for the day ahead. Any sort of tensions nice and loosened before you go do whatever physical or mental activity you're doing today. So thank you very much everyone, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye now.